go. Start off with some nice music. Why not? There's always music in my head, that's for sure. I don't know if I want to admit that out loud, but you know what? You're welcome. There you go. Now you know. Okay, and knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. Alright, let's get myself situated here. Let's continue our X-Wing journey. Yes. Just gotta get my Cintiq over. Uh-oh. Knocked over. I don't want to knock that over. Alright. Okay, hold on. I just knocked over a little bit of my water. Hi, everybody. Everyone can hear and see me okay? I'm assuming we're good to go. That's what I'm going to assume. Hi. So as always, I'm just going to continue my journey with this model. Let's hopefully get the wings finalized, finished off, so I can move on to the body. Because I want to get this ready to start 3D printing it as well. So I'm pretty much relatively close to being done with the wing. I'm just going to do the back part today, and then I'll start moving into the body itself, right, and working from there. So I think this piece here is what I now need to change. Yes, okay. So I'm going to need to convert these, because these are going to need to be different now than what we have currently. So what I mean by that is, if I'm looking at again, I'm using, what I like using is, besides imagery, I've got a physical model that people have made, and I'm kind of using that as my inspiration to go off of as well, and work with that and see what that looks like. Okay, interesting that I'm missing. I know I made that. I think I'm making sure some of my subtools, might have to remake that. Oh, no biggie. That's an easy one. Alright, let's see what we got here. Okay, so the top one's going to come across. Yeah, it's going to come across at a certain different location and then come down. So we need, I would say, the come down portions right about here. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this, just so I have more than one. Okay, I'm looking at it this mindset. All right, so we need another edge loop. So handy dandy Z modeler. I'm going to take this out of dynamic sub div. Okay, there you go. Now if that doesn't wake you up, this is one of those, Lisa needs braces moments. Not really though. Okay, but it is for the users. Bringing back some of my fun GIFs here. I've also got this one still going. Yes. Look up here. All right. I don't know where my X-Wing book went, by the way, too. Couldn't find it. Oh, there it is. I found it. Okay, we're going to use that today. Found it on my other bookshelf now. All right, so I'm going to insert an edge loop. I'm looking at this. This is just personal preference, once again, I would say, for me. Let's make sure in the front. How does that look like in the front? Okay, nothing's changing in the front. It's only the back portion that has this difference. Okay, so that's important for us to think about here for this, for sure. And in fact, the more and more I look at this, is this stays consistent, okay, all the way through, and it's actually a mesh that I need to do. Okay, I was going to go one route, but I'm having a change up. See, this is kind of why I like having something physically in hand. Just to get what other people did, what their thoughts were. I kind of think I'm going to go their route, what these particular people did. I think that's a kind of better approach for me. I'm going to say. Oh no, piece just fell off. Piece of my model just fell off. Okay, got it. Part of my engine came off. Okay. So we got this duplicated. Let's take this. We want it to go, so let's do an insert here. Let's make that nice and straight. Let's go about, okay, as high as the wings. Okay, so we want to go as high as the wing. So let's make this house slide, complete edge loop. I want to go about there, that high. I think that's good. Right? And then it's got a piece. Then that what we want. Let's take a Ganter here at this. We are going to only use the faces. Okay, let's use only. Now let's do this. We're only going to use these faces here. Let's double check. Okay, we want to go a little bit more. We'll go to that face. Those are the only faces we care about. All right, so let's make those be a different polygroup. Okay, now they're a different polygroup. And now let's do this. Let's do this. So the only thing we do see is this now. All right, so we can delete the rest. Modify, delete, hidden. All right. I'm trying to roll over my dog. Okay, so I'm not going to need all these edge loops either. By the looks of things, too. It's not going to be necessary. Alright, let's... I think we will also... Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to stick a little bit to the what they decided in this piece, I think, honestly. Why not? It's not bad. Okay, so let's go back to insert. We don't want, okay, so we don't want an edge loop there, there, there. We don't need these edge loops. Let's delete them. Okay, that's what we want there. We're definitely going to need an edge loop somewhere along here. So let's pull the wings back on. I would say this one, a lot of this is also just some eyeballing too. Like, I'm just, and again, I don't need to think. I'd say the biggest thing, too, is don't get too consumed to be 100% exact. Let's be honest. Most people are not going to really know every nook and cranny of something like this. But I'm still a little stickler for being somewhat accurate for myself. Okay, and then we're going to do one, I would say, if we look at this, I'd say... We want it. Okay, I'm looking at the engine, the booster here. I'm going to say right about there for now. All right, let's go ahead and Q-mesh this all out. So let's do a Q-mesh, polygroup all for now. This needs thickness. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just crease everything right out the gate. This is, again, something I like to do. Now I like to turn on dynamic subdiv. I like to have my crease because this is what I'm going to end up sending, right, as my final. That also is going to be part of what I'm sending to the printer when I go to 3D print this. So let me just look at, I think we can go a little bit bigger, out a little bit more, something like this, but let's do it as a move. So I'm going to click on here and then hold the shift key, and then now that pops it out, just creating some more thickness there. All right, and then the portion here now needs to come out. We need to extrude out. So we need to extrude out. Okay, looking at this, we got this and this. And I would say those are aligned pretty, yeah, those are aligned pretty close. Okay, and then, okay, so this face, and then these two faces is what we want. Okay. So we want this face, and we want that face. And we want to extrude those out. So we get, and I'm going to make those different polygroups, because we want those heights to be very similar. And I say it looks like it goes just past a little bit of the wing. So let's go and say we want this, and I'm gonna use the gizmo this time, and then I'm just going to adjust this. I'm looking at this line right here. I'm looking at this. This is the top of the wing up here, right? So I want that to kind of sit in a spot that's not too far off the wing. I'd say that looks pretty good. Maybe something around there. I'd say something like that. And then the top one's going to come up even more. We're going to go even higher with the top one. The bottom one, not so much. It kind of hits down this world level. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. And then so let's do this. This one needs to go way up more. Like, I'm going to go about that high with it. Right? And then we'll center it. Whoops. Center it. Reset it. And then it tapers in. So I'm going to taper only these. That's it. I'm only going to taper those. Okay. And I would say, I think we're in a good spot. Kind of looks like it almost sits over it. So I think I might need to maneuver this a little bit more. Okay. I think maybe we go with, let's move this. I'm going to go a little bit. Whoops. A little bit more. Let's move these over a little bit more. Something more in that world. I'm going to go, that's too perfect. I don't like that. Yeah, that's too much. Okay, right? I'm going to go a little bit more. In fact, I'm going to go with this. To me, I think is more important. Okay. All right, and then the bottom here, let's go ahead and also this needs to get tapered in. Something like this. And I think I'm going to go a little bit further down with this. Okay. And now we have that gap, that gap. Okay, we're going to have a gap there. That looks good. I think this is a good spot. All right. And then so now let's turn on dynamic. Let's crease all. Whoops, crease all. Let's give it some harshness in there. Okay. Now this is where our fun begins. The fun begins. Yeah, the X, why you're referring to a BB? Like a R2D2, right? An R unit, R2 unit. And then obviously in the newer ones, like Pose, it's a BB unit. It's a B unit. Right? So I'm going more Luke Skywalker piece is what I'm going with. More of that world. For me. Oops. Okay, I'm gonna open up the wings, get a better gauge of this. Okay. Alright. I'm going to go even closer. Okay, I'm going to move this bottom one here even closer. I'm going to go more. Something like that. And then I want to go a little bit, maybe a little bit more. Might be too much. I don't know. We'll see. Might be too much. See, these wings are pretty close to each other. They're a little on top of each other, I think, but that's good. We'll live with that. Good, 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 good. Okay. So we need this. We're going to duplicate this. Okay, so, and then we're going to convert this into topology. So we need a mirroring here of stuff that's going to happen. Because we need to flip and mirror, I think, is what we're going to need to do. Okay, so let's look at the array right now. let's, okay, which one is this making? Here, let's solo this out. Okay, what I want. Okay, now we'll delete, no, we'll delete this. Then I have this. Okay, let's see if that makes sense. So I should have this. Nope, that should be inside. I feel it's going to need a bit more here. Something more in that realm I'm going to go with. Okay. So we want this. Okay. We're now mirroring it over. Okay, so let's delete this for now. We want real topology. Okay, and what I need is I need a mirrored version of this. So we're going to duplicate this. Let me see. I'm just thinking the fastest way for me to do this, of what's in my head and what I want to do here with this. Okay, so we're going to need a mirrored version on the other side. So we need to flip it and then mirror and weld it over. I think is going to be probably. All right, so let's do this. Let's use a little bit of trickery. Let's set the pivot of this. Wait, let's duplicate this one first. I'm going to make a duplicate of that. We are going to set our pivot point. So again, I'll turn on the floor so we can see this is sitting at the center of the world. Now I can use the deformation, and I'm just going to mirror it over. So it's like that. And then transformation. I am going to clear pivot point. And so now we have opposite versions here, right? And then mirror and weld it over. And now I only want the one side. I want this ability. Let me double check. Here, yep, that's what I want. Okay. That over. I need that to come over just a little bit. All right. So this is next to the wing. This is not next to the wing. Just making sure I have everything where I want it. Okay, this side's going to be next to the wing here. This side's not. This side's actually the opposite. And then now I need this to move all the way to there. And so now we have that. And now I need the opposite side of this. So let's see. Let's duplicate this. This is where our brains start to hurt. Right? Okay. I could have done this honestly, probably by array mesh would have been smarter to do this. In all honesty. We are going to mirror this over the Y, but let's go and first do again set pivot point. We'll mirror it over the Y, transform, clear pivot point. Now we have this, and then this one is going to sit down here now on this part of the wing, right? And then this one technically we're going to now rotate this 180 and then there. Okay, so the gaps I've done don't line up. So this would be better to do a different way, honestly. Now that I'm looking at this, I think we'd be better off doing this a little different. I'm going to just wrap my head around this real quick. We're better off, because I need to make sure everything fits. So obviously it looks like, I know what my biggest problem is here. Is I'm making this be a lot thicker than it really should be. Because for printing, I want to make sure that it's getting a good grip. So that is actually throwing the proportions off here a little bit. Okay, so what I mean by that, if we're looking at, here, let's go to our subtools. Let's do a V2 here. And then now I have this. Let's turn this one on. Okay. So let's see. How are we going to fix this? Because I'm quite a bit off here. So I'm thinking it might be better for me to take a different approach on this one, actually. Just to get it aligned correctly. I'm thinking just to save myself, I think we go back to this. Let's delete these. I don't like, now that I've seen it in position, I don't like what I'm making. Okay, so these, let's duplicate this. Okay, and then back to this. Let's apply our arrays. Right now, array mesh. Let's just open up. No extrude, make mesh, make mesh. Okay. So we want opposites attract here. Okay. Actually, before I do that, let's do the array mesh first. I mean, do the inserting of the edge loop first. And let's insert it with, let's insert it with a crease option. So go right about there. Right, so go back to V1. It's not bad. It's pretty close. Let's do a slide. Complete edge loop. Let's go a little bit higher. Let's go there. And now let's go ahead and make a mesh, which I also could hit BPR. And then again, I want this, and I think I want, yeah, I want all the way to there and to there. Make that a different poly group. Now we just keep only those. Modify, delete hidden. All right. And then insert. I'm going to insert. Yeah, we're going to insert. So let's start deleting these up. We don't want any of these. This is too many spans for what I would like to do. All right. Good to go. Let's give it some thickness. So let's QMesh polygroup all. So we have this. Again, we'll do a crease all for the time being. Again, if I don't see any questions, if you guys got them, throw them at me. And let's now make this be a different poly grouping in here. Okay, we're going to crease all that. We'll probably get rid of that eventually. Now we have this. So what we need to do now is establish an angle here, right, for these. And I want the same angle. All right. So here, I want to establish an angle. Right, so I'm going to say, so the easier thing for this would be, we'll use the slice curve. Not the knife, slice curve. We'll mask this off right now just so you guys can see. And so what my goal will be is I want a nice straight line like that going through there, right? That's what I want to establish. All right. And so we want now if I think that's a little too deep. Let's take a look at this. See what we got. Actually, it's not that bad. I think it's might be a little too aggressive. Let's see. I think maybe we go more something like that. Right? And then something. Now we need to go something more in that realm. Okay. So this will be that portion. And then we need that to also work on the other side, because then this has got to pop up as well. So I need, this is going to create this. And what do I need now is this angle is there. That'll give us this one. This is hurting my head. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but I'm making this more difficult. Okay. So this gives us this one. This gives us this one. And now I need another angle here. So let's kind of match this up. And then I need that to be probably more in that world. Okay, something like that. So let's look at this. So now I have that. Okay. And so we could go with probably put another edge loop in here. This one, now we need another edge loop here. I'd say we need another one there. Whoops, let's not change the poly grouping. Let's just do that. So let's mask everything off. So we have this. Okay. Let me look at what we got here going. Let me see what we have here. What do we have going here? Okay. All right, let's now. Okay, so this will be that one. This will be this one. Then we're going to need this direction as well. Okay, which will give us this direction as well down here. Okay, so it makes all, looks like it's kind of coming together. So let's now Q mesh polygroup and get rid of this. So we get that gap back. Okay, I'm going to do a crease all. Crease all. That would be pretty cool. The Bat Tank from Dark Knight Batman with articulation, the neck and the head. That would be pretty cool. That'd be a lot of fun. I think that'd be great. Okay, wait, I actually don't want to do this. I am going to actually duplicate this now. Okay, so one of them, this one, we need to maintain this. So let's Q mesh, whoops, single polygon. We don't need this now. And we don't need this. We don't need this. We don't need this. Okay, and then this one, don't need that, that. So that's that one. And then this one, we want to do the opposite here, right? So let me look at this. We don't need this. Whoops. We don't need this or this or this or that or that or that. And now we have this. And if we turn on the other one, we should have now what we're starting to get here. Okay, and now we want a Gaboury here. Okay. So we got this and this. This is aligned. That's aligned. All right. Got a gap going here. My head hurts doing this one. It really does. It really, really hurts. I think I'm creating too much of a lip. The lip's really not that big. My lip is huge lip. Oops. And this should align with the bottom of this. Okay. Boy, I'm failing here. I think what we're going to need to do is also on this one we get rid of this, we get rid of this for now, and on this one get rid of, oops, get rid of that for now. So we have this and this. That one's there, that one's there. Wait, what is this? Okay, yeah, you need that. So we have something like this. I think we need to go up. Yep, needs to go up. Let's go up more. Kind of more in line. Something like that. And then the bottom one needs to come down a lot more. Something more like that. So now you have something like this. Okay, and then now let's merge these down. No UVs, let's merge it down to be 1. Okay, and then let's take this face, this face, this face. Keep going. Something like, we need to keep going. Let's go there. Okay. All right. And then now I'm going to adjust this one to sit more in an angle like that. I'm going to adjust this one to follow that angle more, like that. And then same thing for these in here. This needs to have more of an angle like that. And then this one needs to have more of an angle like that. And now we've got that gap happening that we want. I don't know if I went too big on this. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, it is definitely a much bigger. So let's take this, let's take that, let's take that. Let's keep this, oops. And then let's unmask these. And then now let's unmask these and these. Center it, and let's go a lot. I'm gonna go a little more extreme. I think it's more in that world. Let me look. Yeah, I think I've got that too big. Right, and now I need to readjust these again. So let's make these come up a lot more. And let's stay consistent. So let's keep the gap the same here. Center that, and then we'll make it come way more up. Not that much. There, that's better. And then now let's fix our angles again. There, this is looking better now. Much better, I think. Alright, and then this one. More like that. Okay. Something more along that line. So we solo this out. It looks like this. Okay, let's fix. This angle isn't quite the same right here, so let's make that angle a little bit better. This, and then let's also move that one, and that one. Let's move this way over more. But let's, you know what? This is probably an eye thing for me. Let's get all of them to just kind of move closer together. This is the problem. It's gonna squish it straight like this. Alright, let's go. Here, we'll do it this way. So I want this. Make sure I have this. Make sure I have this. I want this to move over more. And now I want this one. This to move over even more. We'll go with something like that. That one's moved over too much. Let's do this. Let's see how far off we are. 0.57, and this one is... Okay, so this one needs to move a lot more. Okay. This one is not on the same amount. So let's just move only this one. And then now let's see where we're at. Closer. Okay, 0.42. Okay, that's a lot closer. And then now, so let's take this. Put a little bit more gap there. And that is 0.55. 0.5. 0.4. Okay, so now this one we will move again. I'm just trying to make them be pretty much relatively the same size. This is being very particular though, for sure. Okay, 0.48, and I say this bottom one needs to move a smidgen. More around there. Okay, let's see what that looks like. There, that looks better. That's what I was looking for. Something a little bit more in that realm. Something a little bit more in that world. Okay, that works, that works, that works for me. Now let's make the bottom one. All right. They look like they pretty much align up, right? So we'll use now. Okay, so we want this, 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 and this. And we want to extrude out. Let's make different poly groups here. And then we want something like this. Okay, wait. I am getting this in the wrong spot. Okay, so I don't want that face. I want that face. Okay, that's correct. That's correct. Okay. So, I don't want... I grabbed too many faces. Since I want this face, and this face, this face, and this face to be the same. Like that. Okay. Those are aligned. Let's now get this, not that one, and then these aligned. And let's do this so it can be even more of a matter of fact alignment and get those to sit in the same world space. Something like that. And then it should be, yes, over. Okay, that looks good. I would say now we could even, I think this is a little too aggressive. I'm going to go give myself a little bit more of this. Just a little bit more, okay? And then now, let's see what this looks like. We want this, 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 this. Center it, reset, make sure we're aligned. And then now these taper in and they sit, oops, way higher. So we need this one and this one, and we need these to sit way more in that realm. Something more like that. Yeah. Okay, now I'm okay with it. I'm alright with that now. I'm okay with what's transpiring. Okay, because I'm probably going to have this be open, right? Did you use the 3.0 Blade Runner car? It's so nice. Doors rotate from... Really? $22 in Matchbox size? I did not see the 3.0 Blade Runner car. I did not. Please do share a link. I have not seen that. That'd be great. I'd love to see that. Okay. Now, this is where we have this going on. Let's turn dynamic on. Let's look at this dynamically. We'll crease all, so it's giving me that look. All right, and then now we want, okay, that's the opposites. And now, let's array mesh. Let's array mesh this. Let's reset, so this should be sitting the center of the world, and let's mirror it over the X. And so, okay. Now we need to do, we're going to need to do a mirror and weld that actually rotates it as well. So, I think what we're going to need to do is, let's see. If I mirror it over, does that, rotation. Okay, yeah, we're not going to be able to use this. It's just not worth it. We're just going to mirror and weld it over, and then we'll mask this one off. Center this, and then let's rotate. Like that, so we get the mirroring other way of it, like this. This is how, well, this is how it is in my little reference for me. And now we need to create the rest of this part now. Just looking to see if I want to use topology. What do I want to do specifically? That piece looks like we need to make a couple now more parts here for sure. So let's see what we got. Now we've got this. Right? I think I need to go higher. Yeah, that's not high enough. These aren't high enough. I'll tell you what. These and these are not. Center it. They need to go a lot higher. Like way up here, like that. Like way higher. Maybe not that high. Yeah, that's too much. But they're up there. Say more in that realm. More in that realm. I don't think this is big enough either. Okay. Good, good, and good. All right. Let's do a quick save next. Yeah, if you have a link to that Blade Runner spinner, please do share. Okay. Now let's get going on this. Hard to tell what that is. Whoop. Say Levy. Say Levy. Say Levy. Unfortunately, I'm off quite a bit here. Oh well. You will. Just looking at this, I think I'm going to add just a little bit more thickness to that. Okay. All right, let's load our tool that we were making previous stream where I was making meshes to use. Let's load those. So I'm going to load that tool. X-Wing TIE Fighter. Here is the greeble. This is it right here. Let's see, let's open this one. Okay, let's see. I don't know which one it is because I was doing saves. Okay, it's the same. this one's got the fix. This one does not. So let's stick with this one. All right, and let's make something else now. So let me duplicate. We'll turn everything else off. Let's get this centered. Boom. We are going to turn this into a cylinder. We don't need this. Let's go ahead and crease. Will you be, will you be? Why does my brain not function? Okay, we want this creased. Then let's go ahead and let's do Z modeler. Let's go along the Z. Let's insert without creasing an edge loop, so we just get a little bit better right there. Okay. Definitely gonna want to bevel this. Let's put a bevel on there. Let's crease by PG, so we get a little bit of a bevel on that. All right, and then now let's go ahead and extruder this to there. And we don't need this to be this thick. Let's say something more like that. Okay. All right, looking good there. Good there. I think I'm going to make a little lip here too. So take all these faces. All right. Key modeler, let's Q mesh, single poly, let's push this in. Make it have a little bit of a lip. All right, crease those up. Something like that. And let's go ahead and add a bevel here. And crease that by the old PG'er. Okay. Grease. Okay, now we've got this. I don't like it creased. So let's do this. Let's uncrease all. I want this to be the same polygroup up here. Same polygroup. I want this to be the same polygroup. That's good. That's a waste of topology. Like this. Let's see. We don't need it like this. Q mesh polygroup ball. Let's bring this up to meet up top. Like this. We don't need this edge loop here. Don't need that edge loop. We don't even need this edge loop. Yeah. And then let's just clip curve this real quick. Put everything on the same level. Now let's do it. There we go. There we go. Let's crease by old PG. And now we've got what I want. Okay. All right. And then now let's insert an edge loop halfway there. Let's go there. Let's go a quarter. Just clean that up a little bit more. Let's do this. Let's go with X symmetry. And we'll have no snapping. More like there. That works for me. Good to go. And now, insert. I'm going to use these guys. Okay, so if I draw this out, somewhere like so. Let's have it sit in more to the surface, like so. Right, and then let's do an array mesh. Let's array this. We want 3 of them. I want to be in move mode. Whoops. I only want, hold on. I need 2. This is my problem. I only want this. I don't want everything. I only want this one. I only want this one. Okay, we'll turn this on, turn this on. Now we'll array this. We want 3 equidistant. Something like that. And then now these can be converted. And then now to be different, let's make sure we are putting different rotations on this, just so it's not all the same. Yeah, something like that. So then we have that. Okay, and then we want to merge this down. No UVing, don't care about that. And then now we have this greeble. Okay, that'll take care of that one. We got that one already. Looks like we need some kind of... Okay. Alright, let's go now. Let's duplicate. Let's make another one. Center this. Boom. Alright. We'll just keep saving this every time. We want another cylinder. There's a cylinder. We want to crease it. Alright. There we go with the crease. Brush the modeler. You guys are quiet today. No comments, no nothing, huh? Everyone just kind of listening to me ramble, mumble. Because that's what's going on right now. Everyone's just whatevs. Let's go somewhere around there. Okay. Could probably have gone less topology, but that's fine. Then let's again use our extruder. We want to extrude like so. Okay, and then these. Accidentally showing partial. Oh, interesting. See something. Huh. Okay. I'll fix that. I extrude this out. In fact, it will be better. We don't want, whoops. I don't want any of these faces. So delete hidden. And I don't need this. Delete hidden. And then we'll just dynamically, I want a flat bottom. Let's just do all polygons. Now we got something like that. That's what I want. Let's do, what am I doing? Let's do deformation, unify it. Alright, let's make these be the same polygroup. Geometry, let's do a crease by P. Let's uncrease all, increase that way. That looks good. Now we got something like this going on, and now let's insert an edge loop more towards the bottom to make that. And I'm going to go more with a squared bottom down here. So I'm going to crease that edge and that edge. So just a little bit more in that realm of things. It's been ages. How are you? How are things? Questions, comments, concerns? Anybody? Anybody? Spicoli? Bueller? 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 And then let's do an insert here. Let's do a bevel. Well, let's do an insert. Let's do an insert here, an insert here. Now I can delete. That'll give me that. All right, and then I want this, 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 this. Actually, what I want is not that. Actually, what I want to do. I want the purple. Okay. I'm going to do this. Make this be a different polygroup. Thank God for polygrouping. Okay, and then I'll Q mesh by polygroup all. I want to come out like that. Perfecto. And then so now I have this. But let's also crease this so it's more like that. Okay, that works for moi. It's tough to tell. Like, what I'm looking at isn't very detail oriented. So I'm just gonna take some liberties here of my own. For sure. So let's insert with the crease option. Let's go to here. So yeah, right about there. And let's take these faces. Let's get back to being X symmetry. And then let's Q mesh this out. So there's a little ridge right there. And then we get that crease PG, so we get something more like that. And it's got some kind of round shape in there. So let's go brush. Let's go back to this model kit. There's something here I can just use. I like that. Let's use that. And then draw this out. And then let's have it sit inside more. Like that. And then there's that piece. Okay, so now we got that one. Let's save. Just do a save. Okay, we got that one, got that one, got that one, got that one. This is a normal thing. It's tough to tell what's on the top there. All right, let's start putting some of these pieces in the correct spot. Okay. Let's turn this into a brush then. So let's show all. Oh, I've been building this one the wrong way. That's super important. Is have them all built the same direction. Did I do the same thing for this? No, that one's good to go. Right, so let's just, I'm going to double check. Right, correct, 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 correct. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, let's unify them all again. I just like them all to be the same size, and repeat to other. And now we've got them all sitting there. Okay. Let's save next on this. We haven't done that. We're going to come to this. All right, and let's go back to this, and then we're going to go brush, create, insert multi-mesh, and then here's my meshes now. Okay, ZBrush shortcuts added to iPad. It is being considered. It is on the list. Yes, I can't share much else than that. That it is something to look into. There's some different stuff we have to do on the iPad than the desktop, for sure. Because also the UI is different. Number one, right? The desktop UI is not the same as the iPad UI. So there's some other things we had to consider and think about as well. But yes, all I can tell you is, yes, it's on the list. We are considering it. It will be something that we hopefully can get implemented very soon for you. Okay? But please feel free to continue asking any questions or any stuff that you guys might have. Okay. And so now these all have certain spots now. Okay. So I would say this one that I just made. Okay, this, let's get the right size, probably somewhere around there. Let's see. Let's say that's, no, we need to go bigger than that, a little bit bigger. Something more like that, I would say, is the right one. Okay. And then let's have it work the same angle here. So it also needs to live here. Then it needs to live here. And then also here. So that's that. Okay, this little thing that I made, let's put those. Okay, one's going to go here. So let's get our size right first. Okay, a little bit smaller than that. Let's go with a 16. All right, and let's reset. Yeah, we gotta go a little bit smaller. Let's go with 14. Again, I'm holding the control key. There we go. And then now I want it also over here. Let's just make it this way with the duplicating ability. It's just going to be easier for me. All right. Then I need, right, inside. Okay, so now wing and inside. So now there's an inside one here on this side. And then I need one down here at the bottom, rotated the other way, 180, and then that needs to sit down here. Something more in that realm. Okay, so now we have those and those and those. I'm going to do, I should do this part because I think we need to look at this. Okay. Determined quite a bit here. All right. Let's take this. Oops. Let's duplicate this for now. Let's solo this out. Let's just work on one of these. Let's see. It does not take an angle. Okay, so what I want is this. I just want this piece right now. Geometry, delete hidden, delete hidden. Okay. Right. Let's center this. Okay, we don't want, whoops. We don't want the color brush the modeler. We don't want this edge loop now. Let's get rid of that edge loop. Okay. Let's get an edge loop halfway in the middle. There, that's dead center. Okay, now let's turn on our symmetry. All right, and let's make sure, yeah. And then let's use local symmetry. And then I would say it goes very close to the edge. Let's turn off the half. Okay, so we are going to need, let's do it this way. Slicey, slicey. Close to the edge. Well, okay, we want the other side close to the edge. Here, and weld that over. Now we've got that. Now we are playing with, okay. So let's get the distances the same now. So now I'm going to go insert now a quarter. I want to say this looks more like a quarter. So we get let's look. I think that's too much. The middle, I think it's a little too big. Let's bring it in just a touch. Let's go more of that. Yeah, let's go more that realm. Okay. Then we need. I'm looking at this. We'll go right about. I'd say there looks good. Then we need an edge loop here. Oops. We need an edge loop here. Oh, okay. Accidentally did that. Edge loop there. Alright. And then let's do edge loops here. Let's go this side so we get both sides. Something like that. Okay. And then this only goes so high. Let's say about there. Which realistically, we can do that another round. Let's not add that edge loop. Then we don't need this. We don't need this. We don't need this. We need that. And I would say I'm going to center these up. I'm going to make these straight. Oops. Clip curve. Let's just curve this. Yeah, let's go that route. Right, and then now these sit lower. They sit more in that realm. Okay, so that is that. And then this needs to come off a lot more. How much more is the question? I think that's enough. And also, I'm trying to go a little bit more because I'm printing. Okay, so I am going to fix this issue that I've caused. Let's take these faces and make them a new polygroup. And then now let's get rid of everything but this. Delete hidden, QMesh, polygroup all. This, and then the yellow can sit in like that, making sure we got an overlap. Yep. All right. And then let's not have these sit so high. We're in that world. Let's go that. That's good enough. And then let's make them have some angles now. So let's put an edge up right there. Let's put one up here. And then now, say in general, these all here need to move in a little bit. Let's go about that much. And then let's mask that off. Mask that off. And then have an angle like that. Then I want to do the same thing here. Let's just insert it through a slice. Okay, something like that. And then now, these two, I also want to have an angle to them. Something a little bit more along those lines. There. There we go. There we have it. Right. Let's crease it all. Let's look at it divided up. I think we're going to need to add, yeah, let's add one edge loops right here just to tighten that up a little bit more. That's good enough for me. In fact, this might be the one where I wonder, let's actually do a Q grid on this. This might be worth doing a Q grid actually. And have no smoothness. Yeah, I kind of like that. It kind of just gives it a little bit more softness on the edges as well. I think I went too thin. Okay, so the purpose of printing, I think I've gone too thin. So let's fix that for sure. Okay. Because my ultimate goal is 3D printing this. So I want to make sure I'm thinking about it in that sense as well. So we are going to do things that I probably would not do, just to give it a little bit more sizing. Okay, so then we can take these two. And then we can move this also, make these a lot thicker. They're way too thin. There, that's better. They got some more weight to them. Yeah, all in all, I don't know if I like the Q-grid part of it. I'm going to go, okay. And let's make the bottom also have a little bit of more. Let's make this also have a lot more bigger of a insert multiple, keep the poly grouping. Throw a couple more loops in there. Sure that up a little bit. And let's add more. Let's do a little bit more here. Let's go a little bit more extreme. Make that pop a little bit more. Really have that change, and then let's add an edge loop here, an edge loop here. Okay, I think that's not bad. I think that'll work. Okay, I was wondering where to put my custom macros. Said not to put them in rapid start folder. All I have put most of them in there. Seems to be fine. Okay, so your macros on the desktop, what version are you using? What version of ZBrush are you using? Because that will matter what version you're using. Because the folder structure has changed since ZBrush 2026.1. We have a new folder structure. That's more of now all of your user assets. Okay, well, 2022 is a different world. You got to put those in the program files, and then there's a macros. So you just make sure you put them in a miscellaneous folder, though. The new one's going to be different at work. So hold on, let me. Depending on what your company does too. Give me this. Where's my mouse? There you are. Okay. Okay, so for 2022, you obviously, the best place is Z Startup. Okay, and then there's a macros folder here, and then miscellaneous. So you want to put them in a folder. So you either put them in the miscellaneous folder or you make another folder. Right? Most people just put them in the miscellaneous folder. Okay, this is where they go on 2022. For at work, now when you log in, you're creating now, this is why we made this change. If there's more than one person, say, using the computer at work, whatever you guys did customized to ZBrush, that person would also get that customized stuff as well. What I'm referring to is anything like UI, custom hotkeys, things like this, the macros and stuff. Now what happens when you log into the computer, we are using the protocol of your user account being logged in, and now we're creating, in essence, a new asset directory per every single individual user. So what I mean by that is if like 40 people log in into the same exact computer, 40 different ZBrush looks and feels can happen now. You weren't able to do this until 2026.1, right? So in 2022 and anything before, before the 2026.1, you guys would run into this. Whatever you do, it's going to happen to everyone on that same system. So this is extremely important for studios and schools. This is kind of why we implement. They've been begging me for this forever. So this is kind of what we did. But it also, what it did is it's starting to open up stuff for us where now everything's moved into one folder location for you guys and your customability. You don't have to put them now in multiple locations. There was stuff happening in the program files, and then there was stuff happening in a users folder. That users folder is now actually gone. ZBrush doesn't even make it anymore and doesn't use it anymore. Okay? So for the new one, there is now a new asset directory in the preferences. So you can even change the location now of all your custom stuff. So you don't even have to save all your custom stuff in the ZBrush root folder if you don't want to. And in this case, you don't even have to save it in the default settings. You can literally make a folder on your desktop and then put all your custom stuff in there, and then that's it. And then you can just, that's it. You've not been able to do this before until we did this. This is part of the reason why we did this folder structure change. It's going to help us down the pipeline to do certain things as well as we move forward. So if I click on this open directory, you're going to see it'll open exactly where custom stuff is going for me. Okay? That's what this button is doing. Let me move over to this one. Okay, so this is what it opened. This is where all my custom stuff is going now. So if we do this, you can see this is like every other program actually, right? So I've had a lot of people, can you make ZBrush be like other programs, right? In the far as folder structure. So this is going on, I'm on a Mac, so it's going in a library. There's a preference folder. And as you notice, this is where all programs put a lot of their preference stuff, not just ZBrush. Like this is see, here's all my Photoshops, my Autodesk stuff, anything from other companies. This is most likely where they're going to put things. This is just the common location. Right, there's my Pure Ref folder. So now there's a Maxon folder, and this is where we put all of our Cinema 4D, ZBrush. So this is going to open straight to this, and now you have your own startup folder. And then everything you want to customize that you want to put goes in this location now. Okay, so now you can put, your macros are here, and then now you just put your macros right here. Right, and then your own plugins now just go right here. You put your own plugins here. Any brushes that you want, they go here now, right? Because there is no longer even a startup folder in the root folder of ZBrush. So if I go to a newer version of ZBrush, here's 2026. See, this is now the folder structure. There's barely any folders now in the root folder of ZBrush now. See, there's no Z startup anymore. And we've also moved all the Lightbox folders into an actual Lightbox folder to be one-to-one, which also means now there are 2 Lightboxes. What I mean by that, there is the stuff that we ship you guys, which is the Maxon tab, and now there's a user tab. So now you guys can have the stuff that we ship, and now you can have your own tab, so your stuff's not mixing with our stuff anymore, number 1. Number 2, because we also did this folder structure change, if you are at a studio and things like this, and you want to use something like a server, you can actually use a server, and all the stuff that's on the server, they can do an environmental variable, and that's kind of what we do at the school that I teach at, is what we're doing. So just something else to think about for you. So that's the difference. So it now depends on what version you're in, is going to depend on what's happening. It's, as far as the Spotlight, it's just something we need to add. When we first did Spotlight, projects didn't even exist when we did Spotlight. So that's why it's got its own saving mechanism. So we just now need to go update our actual project file to that. If you have Spotlight, it also saves the Spotlight imagery. That's it. We just have to do an update. That's why it doesn't, is because Spotlight was made before we even did Z projects. Okay, let me know. Any other questions are popping up. Okay. Now we want to mirror and weld this over. So we get it there. And now I need to mirror and weld it down as well. So it looks like, oops. So we want that to sit there. All right, and then I want to mirror and weld along the Y. And then those. Oops. Those seem to be, yeah, way down here. There. Now we have, whoops. Now we have that. So let's see if this is going to work or not for me on what we're doing. And I can notice I need to redraw out those as well. Let me look again. This needs some spherical shapes inside. Now we can put the other piece as well. Okay. We need now to look at these pieces. Oops. And in particular, we need to look at, let's take this one. Throw that out. We'll see. I might get rid of these and just go bigger. Okay, that one sits there. Let's take this one now. Let's put that one here. Something like that. And let's take these ones over here. Throw that out. Let's move this one. There's good for me. And now the last one. So realistically, I should have made these gate things before I drew any of these insert meshes out. Okay. There's that. Let's see brush. Now this piece, we want some of these now. And okay. It's really, I want them to sit more. Okay, let's start over here. Okay, let's make this be a little bit bigger. I'd say that's a good size. Let's go there. Go there, and then let's go there, and then let's pull this out more. Let's go there. Now we got those greebles happening. And then we need a circular shape, and then there's something else up there. I don't know what it is, so we're just going to use anything I want. No idea what that is. I might probably put like a plate up there. Okay, did I miss any questions? No. All right, let's now go to this one. Let's do save next for now. All right, and then let's look at these. There's always something in here that's useful for me. I'm gonna go with this one. And okay, let's go bigger than that. Not that big. Yeah, that big's good. Okay. Now, do we want it sitting out like that? I'm gonna go with not so much. At least their design is a little more shallow. Let's go then and change our depth here. Let's knock our depth way down. Let's see what that looks like. Let's even go a little bit more. Let's see what this one looks like. Let me see something though. I might be going. You might need to make a different version. Yeah, let's make a different version of this. I don't like how deep it is. It's too deep. Okay, so let's brush to mesh. Let's just make it more where we would like it to be. So brush the modeler. Let's use QMesh. Let's use flat island. Let's bring this way up. Something more like that. And then let's just get rid of all of this so we don't even have to play that much with the depth. I want it to be a little bit shallower like that. Okay. And then now brush, create an insert. We'll just say new for now. Come back to this. Let's go to our depth. Let's go a little bit embedded. So let's put it at lucky 19 for me. All right. And then all right, and then now something like that. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Put these out, and if we did an array mesh, this would be a lot better and faster, but say lovey. I don't even know why I'm doing this one at a time. In all honesty, it's not really the efficient way to do this. Honestly, it'd be faster just... It would have been faster also just putting symmetry on. There we go. Okay, so now that's those. All right, I'm going to make a little plate. I want to use a plate now on these. For show. It's hard to tell. It doesn't look like it's got a plate up there, but it's got something going on. I'm going to do a little plate. Because I'll probably use it also for other things. I'm going to make a little plate. Okay, so let's get back to this. Right, because this is my greeble tool that I have. Question about Keyshot Bridge. You can send models one click, but then max on switch to Redshift is key. No, Keyshot still works. Still works. We haven't done anything with that. In fact, what we've done is the bridge is now free. So you no longer have to pay for the bridge. You used to have to pay $150 for the bridge. So when we became max on, we got rid of that price. So it's still here. Like here, this is the most recent version, which actually was this week's release. We just had a release this week. So we're at 2026.1.2 now. So again, if you just go to render, right here, and then you just go again to external renders right here. It's all I got to do. So I turn this on, and now I send it to Keyshot. Nothing's changed. Keyshot's changed, though, in the sense, obviously, they now only have one version of Keyshot. It's called Keyshot Studio. And they are also a just subscription only now. And they don't give now the ZBrush deal that you guys used to have. It's one price now for Keyshot. And they're the same price as what we charge for all of our products in one. So they're US dollars. It's $1,300 a year for Keyshot now. That's about what we charge for every product at Maxon as one under Maxon 1. ZBrush is US dollars, about $399 per year, or $50 a month, $49 a month. But that also gives you ZBrush Desktop, ZBrush iPad, and Redshift, actually, CPU. So you get 3 activations with that license. If you want just iPad, then there's a separate also iPad subscription pricing. It's, again, US dollars, $9.99 a month or $79.99 a year for iPad version. But you can still use, Nick, you can still use it. It's still here. In fact, I've sent stuff over to Keyshot in this version. So you're good. Still there. And now you don't need to pay for the license for the bridge. It's free. So that's what's changed. Okay, so I'm going to make a plate. Let's duplicate this. I only want to look at this one now. Let's go ahead and we're going to make this a cube. Let's go something like, just size it up. We don't need this, don't need this, don't need this. All right, let's do a crease all right now. And it needs to be a lot skinnier. And then it needs to be wider. So let's use Q mesh instead to make it be more rectangular. Something like this. Because I think these, let's have these sit a little bit closer. A little bit closer, don't be shy. Yeah. Okay, and then I want these to sit on an angle, more like that, more around in that world. And then let's think about this. I'm gonna want, let's go across this way. Yeah, let's go across this way, I think would be the interesting one to go with. Okay. I'm just thinking out loud for myself right now. Gotta think out loud. Do I want to? Maybe I don't. Maybe I'd be okay. Okay, so we are going to now Q mesh polyloop. I think what we'll do is we'll put a little border lip here, crease all. We got something like this. And then now let's go from here. We are going to bridge 2 points. So this point to that point. And then we'll crease all. We'll see how this turns out. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but let's find out. Let's do an inset. So let's do an inset here. Let's go about that big. And then do it there, and then do it there. Okay, and so now this, and this. Let's make that actually. Let's make those be the same poly groups. Now let's make this be the same poly group. Something like that. And then now let's Q mesh, poly group all. This, we'll do a crease all, and then when it's smooth, it'll look like that. Okay, I might be going a little too extreme with this, but that's okay. You know what? Now that I look at this, let's go back actually. Let's not do the middle inset. Let's just do this inset and this inset. Okay. Then I'm just looking at this in the perspective of what I want to do. Okay. So let's look at just these faces. Forget the thickness. We don't need that right now. Let's delete the hidden of that. All right. Let's now, we're going to work symmetrically. Let's delete, let's delete this one and this one. And then let's insert a single edge. Like there. in there. All right. Then we need an edge here. Something like that. That goes to there, that goes to there, that goes to there. Then we need, whoops, we need an edge up here. That goes to there. Okay. And then now let's point action. Let's do a stitch and point. Go to there, there to there, there to there, and then there to there. Okay. Now, the only thing I want, let's Control W this. I want this, this, that, okay. Okay, we need, okay, well, and then here and here, we'll make those be a different poly group right now. Let's delete, we need to delete these faces. Let's insert an edge loop right there, which we are actually going to make that come lower. Let's slide this way down to meet more of that edge loop, and then we'll go from here to here. All right. And now we actually don't need the one up here anymore. We just need that. And then now this, and this also get the same poly group, and so does this. And let's see what that looks like. So let's go dynamically. None of this. Let's add some thickness to it. Yeah, that's not bad. We'll apply that. We'll do a crease all right now. And then now Q mesh, polygroup all. Now we push this in. I think I want to go this route more. And then I'll do a crease all. And then this, that's interesting, but I don't want that. Dynamically, no thickness. 4. Crease level 2. Okay, so let's put some more topology here. That makes sense. So let's add, insert an edge loop through here, so it'll tighten up the corners there. All right, and then now we need, let's do a mirror and weld. So we'll get in the middle, and then now I can tighten that up. And then now tighten this one up a little bit more. And then that's what we have now. That is better. That is better. Much better. Okay. All right. Okay. That works for me. That's the kind of plate I was looking for. So we'll unify that, and let's just save this out. Save that for now. What time is it? Okay. Okay. Yeah, key shots expensive. Here's how I feel. Nick, to your question, when you use eModeler, your brain's melting. Most of the traditional things you have in like a Max or Maya and Cinema's there, your biggest difference that probably makes your brain melt is we don't allow n-gons, right? Because those are not really sculptural, and since our base is a sculpting app right now, ZBrush does not look at n-gons, and those would need to be converted in order to divide. Okay, so this is where your only thing would hurt, right? Thinking about this, we have a slicing ability, but it's going to automatically create triangles. So I tend to, when I want the world of like, I'm living in my Maya world or Max world or Cinema world, where normally you guys would just like slice through and then like you make here and then it makes an n-gon here. I would look at that as, okay, let me delete the one face, right, where I want to stop. So what I mean, like what I did there, right, I deleted like these internal faces. So when I inserted an edge loop, I knew it wouldn't end up over here on this face because the edge loop ends because there's a deleted face. That's the approach I would tell you to take. That's where then I solve and then I just weld things together or delete stuff, right? That's how I look at it. Right, if you really look at this, I could delete all this geometry in here and just make one triangle, right? And as long as I delete this edge loop, I can make one triangle here, technically, right? But I didn't because I wanted a certain look when I actually divide it up. Because again, that's also what I'm going to do is divide it up. So I want a very particular look to the surface when I do divide it up. Does that make sense? Yeah, you do have face selection. You don't have edge and vertex selection. But in essence, a lot of the selection stuff, that's what these actions are, these targets down here. They're like preset selections in essence, right? So like if I'm over an edge here and I want to do anything here, like you just have certain presets that you can do, right? So I want to insert multiple edge or it's just one edge loop, okay? When I go to a face, there's just certain things that you're going to be able to do. So, and then this is also why we put repeating actions inside. So what I mean by that is if I say I Q mesh just one polygon like this, I can now just tap and it does the exact same Q mesh. This would work for, right? So stuff like that is what we started to do as well. But yeah, that's your other biggest thing is you can't select, but faces you can do selection technically because this is face selecting in essence. So whatever you do, like if I now do a Q mesh over here, these faces are also going to get Q meshed. See? So here, if we change the polygrouping, you can see, right? So technically, there is kind of face selections. So that would be the other thing that you could do as an example. Okay, so I am going to now. It's tough to say what else is in there, but I see something. It's really hard to tell, but I see something that I might want to try to make actually. All right, so this is now new. Let's make another one. All right, so let's duplicate this. And let's do this. Let's center it again. Reset. This one I want to do cylindrical. So I'm going to do a cylinder. I'm going to go less topology. I'm going to go maybe one more. Yeah, I think I'm going to go there. I think I'm going to do that. Okay. And then I don't want this to be so tall, but tall enough. Say something like that. All right, and then let's go ahead and start inserting a single edge loop. So, whoops. Let's insert one there. I'm going to insert one there. Whoops, I'm going to insert one here. Okay, let's do a bevel here. But let's do an insert. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, well, I'm going to want to insert a mesh here. Let's do a bevel here. Okay, and then now let's take this polygroup flat island. So here's an example, right? I want a selection. Then you make this be a new polygroup right here, right? Right, so then I would say flat island here. And then now only these faces here. If I tap the Alt, see? So this is in essence now my selection. Okay, so now I can even, to speed things up for myself, I could say select this. I'm going to shrink this down, Control W that, shrink this down, Control W that, right? So now I got multiple poly groups, right, as an example here. Okay, so now I can say, you know what, I'm going to actually make this still one poly group. Let's Q-mesh now this poly group all. Instead of selecting the faces, I just push down on this, right? And then now I can shrink. And then now I pull up on these faces, and now I get this, right? And then now I can say, okay, I want these yellow faces. I'm going to say transpose, polygroup all. Boom, I click, center it. Now I can see something like this as an example, right? And then now I'm just going to continue creasing, because I'm always creasing by my polygroups, because then I want to look at the piece like this. I definitely want this creased down here for me. I want those, whoops, creased. I want more something like this. Okay, and so now I want to insert an edge. I'm going to say, let's go there. Let's go there. And then now, again, Q-mesh polyloop. So instead of selecting the faces, the polyloop is the selection. Okay. And then now this, I can Q-mesh flat island. So instead of selecting the faces, I just do that. And now I have something like this. And so in essence, this is what I'm trying to say. These are predetermined selections in essence, okay? And so this is how you could start speeding up your process a little bit, all right? So this is the only thing I could say I could show you that maybe will speed up your process a little bit for you. And now let's see what we got. We got something like that. That looks cool to me. All right, and I am going to now off-center this. I'm going to do probably something like that for now. And then we're moving well to get the other side. And now let's take... Let's now bridge. Let's go from here. Let's go here and then just bridge two polys. Let's go from here to here. Okay. Interesting. Oh, I got symmetry on, don't I? Maybe able to make shortcuts presets for those tools. You can make presets. That is a new feature. Yes. So the presets is going to save your life. Presets is the way to go. Shortcuts can't do. We tried. It's just there's too many options. There's too many features per se, right? So, but you can use presets. But it looks like I'm going to crash and burn. Looks like it's trying to calculate, and I am trying to bridge with symmetry on, and now it's trying to delete both sides and make bridges on both sides. I'm in an endless loop now. Oh no! I'm gonna have to kill it. Hold on, let me kill it. Force quit. Down she goes. Let me relaunch. Let's see what I lucked out with in Lightbox. Let's see what we lucked out with. Let's see. Let's see, which one did I get? I'm going to probably have to remake what I was making. Oh yeah, I didn't get that. Let's see, I also lost my plate. Let's see, did I save it? I don't remember if I saved it. Load tool. I don't remember if I saved my plate or not. I have to remake that plate again. This was the one I was, I think, working on. Oh, I saved my plate. I lucked out. Okay, my plate's still there. So I just have to remake that other one. Okay, so we're going to show presets while we remake this. So let's take the opportunity. All right, I'm going to make a cylinder. Once again, I am going to go here. I'm going to go less spans. One more, I think, yeah. Now let's go. Let's go across, and then we can go bridge this way, bridge that way. Maybe. Yeah, let's actually go with this now that I think about it. Okay, let's go somewhere about this height. Okay, so brush ZModeler. So insert edge loop is a popular thing. So now you have presets. So I just say plus, and now I say insert single edge. I call it whatever I want. Edge loop. Okay, and then I hit save. And then now when I hit the menu, I only get my presets. This is it. I don't get the whole menu. I can go back to the whole menu, but now this speeds up your process because then you start to just learn this. This is your own custom menu in essence for ZModeler that you just keep working on. Okay? So is this, whoever was asking, this is the route I would go now with ZModeler. I would go more, the route of I want presets. So I'm going to go probably about that high. I want to go right about there. So I see now this, if I say, hey, crease, complete edge loop, now I save this as a preset. And you can reorganize the presets. You can save them. Complete edge, whoops, yeah, loop. Save it, and then now boom, right? And then now I have this, boom, boom, right? And then now, oh, I want to do a bevel. So you can go that route, right? This is all 100% possible. Like this polygroup flat island, I could save this out as a preset now if I wanted to. Like, that's the beauty of this, right? So I'm going to insert, and so I can do two inserts. I can do now an insert edge loop, right? Insert. This is the beauty. This is what I mean. A shortcut won't do this for me, but a preset will, right? So what I mean by that, now I have two inserts. One of them is a single, and one of them is with a crease. So I don't need to use a shortcut because a shortcut wouldn't work here now because there's different controls happening now. Okay. Control shrink, Control W. Then let's go ahead and create Q mesh, polygroup ball. All right, and then shrink, Control W. I've got a ton of creasing happening that I don't want. Uncrease all. Q mesh polygroup all. Then I'm going to insert here. Let's go about there. Whoops. Then let's go there. All right, and then again, increase all. I don't like that. And then this is now a Q mesh poly loop. Right, you start to learn this stuff, really, right? You start to memorize these things, start to have happen for us. And then let's Q mesh flat island. Let's make this pop out a little bit more. And then let's look at this. Let's make this a new polygroup. Flat island, that's a new polygroup now. Let's take this transpose. Right, so I'm just trying to go faster now without having to make all my presets. But once I've made my presets, right, that's it. We're good. Right? I don't ever have to come into this full menu ever again. Like it's not going to be necessary ever again. Let's go with that. And then now let's crease by PG. Let's see what this looks like. Something like this. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, let's just do a save on this. So we've got this state. Yeah, spotlights can be reloaded. Yeah, that's in texture palette. There's right here, save spotlight. Load spotlight and save spotlight. So you just save them out, and then that file, you load it, they'll be back in the exact same positions, the images. That's it. That's all you got to do. Nothing too fancy. All right, and then now we are going to, I'm just going to mirror and weld this over so I get another one. And then now, back to, let's see, we see if our bridge is our friend here. Bridge 2 polys. So I want that one and that one. There we go. That's what I wanted. And then now let's do a Q mesh. Single poly, bring that down so we get the same thing there. Then I want the same thing there. Then I want the same thing there. I think I want to go one more. I think that's what I want. Something like that. Let's make all this one polygroup. So let's do polygroup flat island. Let's make that one polygroup. Now that's one. That's good. That's good. Let's make all this one polygroup. All right. And then now let's crease it. Let's see what we're getting. Now we're getting this. All right. And now, I'm just seeing if I want to do insert something like this, and then Q mesh poly loopity. Do I want to do something like this? Do I want to do a little ridge now? And do I maybe want to get rid of that ridge? Actually, this would be the ridge I'd want to get rid of. Yeah, I like that better. There we go. There we go. There. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Let's see. I want probably to crease a single edge here just to stay consistent. All right, and then there we go. And then now let's unsolo this. It's facing the right direction. I always like to unify, right, my pieces. It's just a personal habit. You don't have to do that. And brush, create multiple insert. There it is. Go back to my my X-wing here. And then now, let's just deal with one of them right now. All right, let's locally look at this. Dynamic off. Okay, and now let's take this plate and let's draw these out. Let's see what's going on here. It's being squished. Oh, the intensity's down to 0. Let's see, some weirdness is happening here. Let me just focus on this. Okay, now erase. Oh, I have it. I know if I click the right strokes these days. So let's say I want something like that, and I want it to live up here. And I want it to be the opposite, like that. I want that. Okay. Which I'm gonna have to see what's going on here. I'm going to say, and now I need to go a little bit smaller. Just a touch smaller. Something like that. So now we have that plate coming off that. And then let's take that plate and let's duplicate it. And let's swap it out for this. $180. Size this way down a little bit more. Let's put that here. Let's move it in so it's sitting more inside. Something like that. All right, and then let's duplicate. Here, now we can solo this out so you guys can see better. Duplicate this, and I'm going to put one of these. A lot smaller. Something like that. And actually I want it to come off a little bit more. And then now let's mask all this off and extrude in. Now what we got is something like this. Let's go fix the creasing on this bad boy. Uncrease all. There we go. Okay, let's grab this. Needs to go more inside. Something more like that. And I turn this off at some point. So I got a floating one here. And so what we got is now that. Okay. All right. I got to finish it off and go through, but unfortunately I have to get going. I'm gonna do a save next. I gotta go pick up my daughter here soon, so I unfortunately gotta get going, but this is where I'm at with this. So now I just need like these I need to get rid of because it's not symmetrically for whatever reason. I'm gonna have to research and see. Oops, I want this. And then delete hidden. Okay, and then now I want all of these messages, these meshes. I want all of this. And now I just do a deletion. I mean a duplication. Right, this has got to get rotated 180. Then I have it coming right up to there. And there's that. Probably going to do something else on those plates. I don't like the way those plates are looking. I want to add a little bit to them. And then so now I need these. Oh. And I need this little cylindrical thing. And now I need that to also belong over here. And then now let's save. And I'll do a save next. That's that part. There we go. Let's make sure we save out my greebles. We'll do a save on that. There we go. Okay, any questions before I call this done? Ski streaming wise. Control the track with using lasso masking as a way to isolate verts polys for modification. Can it select verts through a mesh? Yes. Yeah, it will. So if you're using, so I think what you're asking for, we'll use one of these. Right, if I want to just, like, in essence, you can look at this as selection as well, right? Is, like, if you wanted to move all these vertex points here, right? And you wanted to move them out, and then you also wanted to move these. Let's say you want to move them this direction. This is where then you just use masking. In essence, it's just selections, right? So I would do an unselecting here. So I'd hold the Alt key now. So I'm not holding anything on my keyboard. Do an Alt. Everything else gets masked, but those vertex. And then now I just do that same thing here with the Alt key. Now those, and now if I switch to my gizmo, right, it's only going to move those vertex points. Right, so now you can do something silly like this. Or maybe you want also these to be a part of it, so now you're going to do something like that. Right, and then now I can even center this and start moving them to become flat if I want to. Like there's, and then I can say, you know what, let's now mask those off, and now these points, and make it become a little bit more straight. Like I want it to be more straight here. So instead of like selecting vertex points in the way that maybe you're used to, right? And then you have now this, right? That could be another, that technically could be another piece, right? We can make variations of this for sure. Right, so I could now duplicate this. This one has the undo history. And then there, I just made another variation to this. And then now I can duplicate this. And we can do, I'm going to need to mirror it over. And then now I'll do a mirror and weld. Right, and now I got a different variation of it, right? But I'm going to do a mirror and weld, not locally. And then boom, there. Now I just made different variations of this piece. And you never know. Maybe I'll use that. So I'm going to save that because I kind of like it. Does that help, Nick, in what you were asking for? Right, and don't forget, the Z modeler has like the transpose stuff. So I could have easily just also, you have transpose face, right? You've also got transpose edge, and then point also has transpose. Right, so you can actually click on one point, and then this is the only point that you can move. Right, so that's a single action happening. So you could go that route as well. Make a sense? Let me, Nick, does that help? There's a little delay between your guys' questions and what I'm saying. So let me know if that's what you were looking for, if that helps understand what I was doing. And in the meantime, let's see where we're at with Mr. X-Wing. Okay, coming together, coming together. Getting close to having the wings done. I'm going to probably put something in here. I don't like the dead space in there, so I'll probably put something in there. Okay. All right, I'm going to be heading out. If that's all the questions, that's it. I'll be streaming again later, I think next Friday, so have a great day.